one look, I know you stare at me the same. It took one look, but you played me like a game. It took one look, I know you stare at me the same. It took one look, but you played me like a game.
Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. This is the Random CS tournament. We're going to be doing the Heroes Challenge today. This is Silver and Under. It's February the 7th on Saturday out here on the West Coast about 5 p.m. I'm joined here by Streeple. How you doing, Streeple, tonight?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me. We got a little bit of a new setup right now. It's kind of temporary currently. As you can see, our cameras and our wonderful faces are just planted right in the middle of our champ select screen right now. But we can actually see picks and bans for right now. We will be having a different setup in the near future, but for right now, I think it looks not too bad as we see some early bans coming out. I actually want to mention real quick that the teams we have in the first round here are on the blue side, the team 10 Hour Rain, where actually I believe I call them 10 Hour Rain because their actual team name is a YouTube video link to 10 hours of rain sounds. So I've dubbed them 10 Hour Rain on the blue side here, and on the purple side it's I Wanna Be the Boshi, obviously a reference to that wonderfully tormenting game there where you die every 5 seconds.
Well, I'm going to have to take your word for that, and I will never try it if it sounds
I've
as
never tried.
tormenting as you say.
I've only watched people play it, and I never want to have to deal with that. I'll just watch good people play that game and not have to submit myself to the massive amounts of deaths that will for surely be there. And actually, I've got people adding me left and right here. I'm just going to accept all of them. But we've got
You're all my friends now.
we've got some early bans here, and actually a Fizz ban, which must be a target ban, I'm assuming, or something, because with the Fizz changes, as a Fizz main, someone who's played Fizz since literally the beginning of when I played League of Legends, when I started playing, I played
Nice.
Fizz, that's my guy. He is
Cool.
nowhere near as strong as he used to be. His QWE are basically useless nowadays. Unless he has his ultimate, his kit
Right.
is just not going to be good. So I don't really like that ban coming out. But hey, whatever floats your boat there. And we see the Janna being first picked up here for the side of 10 Hour Rain.
And we were actually just talking about the Janna pick, actually, me and Street. And we were saying, we had this argument where we were like, we're not really sure how good Janna is. Because on the one hand, he's got a very low win percentage if you look at sort of competitive play. Now, keep in mind, this is a silver and below tournament tonight. So the extrapolations to competitive play that we make may or may not be applicable here. But the Janna is something that's been a high priority pick for a lot of people. And I'm not sure exactly how useful it is and in which team compositions it is useful in.
Yeah, the fact that actually it looks like the side of I Want to Be the Boshi is already hovering over the J4, which is, if they do lock in that J4, that immediately means that Janna pick is worthwhile. And they did. They locked in the J4.
Yeah, there you go.
So J4 and Ahri are both extremely strong in their respective roles. Of course, J4 in the jungle, Ahri in the mid lane. But that J4 pick really just picked into a counter. The Janna is pretty much a hard counter to J4. Of course, Janna the disengage queen, and J4 kind of the engage king. And disengage beats out on engage there. And it looks like we might have 10 Hour Rain take away the Gnar to not allow the Narvin combo to go over to I Want to Be the Boshi. They opted for the Ahri, and we're less worried about picking up that Gnar.
That's definitely true. As Caitlyn Janna is one lane pairing that I really do believe in, as we see the Caitlyn being hovered in there for Sinister Reign. To find out which champion actually plays AD carry on this squad. But Caitlyn Janna, Janna, same kind of thing. You can just push up to the tower endlessly, give Tristana more damage. The new Tristana is quite strong, I find, too, these days.
Yeah, new Trist, not the same kind of champion we used to see rather. Back in the day, she used to have much more scaling power into the late game. Her attack speed as well as her range would scale ridiculously into the late game, and you kind of just depend on that. Where they've changed her a bit now. They changed how the E works. They changed how her W works. Her jump. She's more prone to going all in and being sort of an engaged jumper as opposed to a disengaged jumper with her ult and things like that. Made her more of a risky playstyle rather than that. No one can kill me because no one can touch me. I have an ult and a jump away. I'll just wait till late game when I can one-shot you or two-shot you from a distance where you can't touch me. So not the same kind of playstyle, but I still think Tristana is good. It's not the same as the Fizz, where I think that Fizz is not worth a pick or
Just
a ban
bad now?
Yeah, where Tristana is still definitely viable.
Do you have any thoughts on the Triforce we saw being run in the EU LCS by oh, I can't remember who played it.
Several people ran it actually. I'm pretty sure.
Really? Okay. There you
yeah,
go.
I'm pretty sure it was just like it was, and the amount of that I saw in solo queue right after they played that. I don't like when Fizz is played, to be honest. As someone who plays Fizz constantly, I don't like when other people play Fizz because they never do it the way I want them to do it. And picking Triforce in top lane is not something I'd suggest. They're kind of trying out new stuff because the way they changed his kit, Fizz is a little bit more prone to being kind of a bruiser nowadays almost. He's not the same one and done assassin that he was before unless he has his ult. So I kind of understand what they were going for, but I just think it is a dumb idea, to be honest. There's just a million champions that do anything that Fizz will do better than he does, specifically in top lane now. I just don't think that Fizz is a worthwhile pick in really any situation, unless you are just in love with that champion, which I am. I still don't pick him. I still don't.
Okay. Okay, I mean, fair enough. Like, you're taking the backseat driver a little bit by saying everyone should never play Fizz, or well, how do you play Fizz then? As we got a couple more picks coming out here, Zerath, Lee Sin being hovered over, be pretty good picks in this case.
Yeah, Xerath definitely a very common mid laner right now. It's going to be a little bit harder to hit Ahri, of course, because she's mobile with that ult. But just to go back to the Fizz real quick, the way that I used to describe Fizz is if his E is up, which is, of course, his playful trickster, his troll pole, his ability to dodge almost any spell in the entire game, to move ridiculously, jump over any wall he wants to, that kind of stuff. If his E's up, he's a god. If his E's down, he's trash. That doesn't apply at all anymore. Now it's if his ult is up, he's okay. If his ult is down, he's useless. So you kind of just lowered all of the potential from Fizz. Before it was like, if your E's up, you can do stupid things and get away with ridiculous plays. Where now it's not the same power. His QWE just don't hit the same way they used to. You have to wait for your ult to be up. Miss your ult, and you're useless until it's back up. So it really relies on you hitting his ult. I feel like they turned Fizz into the new Ahri, where Ahri had to hit the charm or else she wasn't that good. It's the same thing with Fizz and the ult now. So I like the new Ahri, where you don't have to hit the charm in order to be good. They kind of swapped Ahri and Fizz, and as a Fizz player, I don't like it. But I'm back to playing Ahri now, so I don't mind at all. But actually, we see a Nasus coming into top lane here, so a scaling champion in Nasus there. He just wants to stack up his Qs there. I think Gnar should be able to bully him a little bit early, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean the Gnar, especially with his third proc of his ability there, he's going to get a lot of harass on there. But the thing about the Gnar is that the Nasus can survive in that top lane, correct me if I'm wrong, and will eventually scale it up. So the jungler will have to put a lot of pressure up in that top lane. And there's not really a whole lot of CC from Gnar unless he gets to his ultimate form, of course. So we'll have to see how that goes. And definitely a pivotal turning point as the champion's getting shuffled around, and we're going to get right into the delay time for this first match of the day. Thank you all for joining us. This is RandomCS Tournament. Be sure to check us out on Twitch, of course, if you're on Twitch if you're watching us. But we have a website too, RandomRCS. Or randomcs.com. You can see all the upcoming tournaments that you can play for free.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our tournaments are, of course, free to enter with RP prizes. We give away 40,000 RP per tournament. So, of course, first place going home with 3,200 per player, plus some Triumphant Rise skins, of course. Second place, 2,400. Third is 1,600. And fourth, 800. So all top 4 teams going home with some nice RP prizes for their full team. So these tournaments are pretty much you put in nothing other than your own time, which is you're having fun playing this game anyways, and then you get RP for it. So, hey, not a bad deal here. But we actually, I was going to point out that Xerath had actually opted for the exhaust, but he switched over to the barrier in the last moment, which I like. I think that the barrier is probably going to be a little bit better for him than that exhaust. Ahri isn't exactly the same kind of assassin that you want to take exhaust against. If you're against a Zed, say something like that, or like it's got Talon maybe. Taking that exhaust will prevent you from getting one and done when they do go all in on you. But Ahri doesn't have the same potential. You can kind of do that if she does do her all in ult. Sometimes an Ahri will kind of ult after you and just say, hey, we're fighting. I have a ridiculous gap close on you. We're going to fight because I want to. So the exhaust would kind of negate that and say, well, if you want to jump in, you're going to do no damage. But I personally like the barrier a bit more. I feel like it's more of an all-around spell that will protect you in more scenarios than that exhaust would.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I think with the Xerath, a lot of the playstyle in the mid lane, we saw this if you guys checked out the LCK Korean League last night when Monty, Chris, and Doe were talking about it. Xerath's main focus in lane is really just to avoid having his flash blown from any kind of ganks or all-ins from the opposing mid laner. Because as long as he has his flash up, in a team fight, he's very dangerous because he's all about positioning. So he can reposition himself with the flash out of the Cataclysm, for example, coming out from the purple side here. But if his flash is down, it's going to be really, really scary if you're going to be Ikaj Soma. That's the one.
Yeah.
Is that a silent J there? I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I might call him Eka J Soma and just say
Cool.
that it's a name just split up into 3 or something like that. But I feel like what you're talking about with the if Xerath's flash is down, I feel like that's partially where that Janna pick comes into play. Being able to protect that squishy target in the back line. Say somebody like the J4 does come on in the Cataclysm, he's got that flash if he needs to. If the flash is down, that's when you bring out the Monsoon, you bring out the Tornado to push back J4 and try and keep that squishy carry alive. Because if anybody was watching the TSM game just about an hour or 2 ago, we saw how much a Xerath can carry if they're allowed to just be in the back line and just shoot their spells for free without getting jumped on. And having a Janna is going to protect you from things like the J4 running after you. Also, of course, the Nasus, who's pretty hard to deal with. Really, the only thing to kind of slow Nasus is that hard disengage, like from a Monsoon or something like that, or some hard CC to slow him down, because he's kind of an undeniable wall once he gets to a certain point in the game. So I think having an extra disengage, even your AD carry on the side of 10-hour Reign has some disengage with the ultimate. So having that for your team to keep the squishies safe, I think is going to be really important for the side of 10-hour Reign.
So I'm guessing you say for the side of I want to be the Bashi, they in a lot of ways counterpick themselves by picking the Nasus and the Jarvan and the Janna. I mean, in this case, is definitely a good argument for having the Janna. Very strong against champions of Nasus, where you can just throw the Zephyr at them and then tornado them up and knock them out with Monsoon. Same with the Jarvan. They've got some okay follow-up from that, but they really did counterpick themselves here, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is that they did, like you said, they did kind of counterpick themselves, specifically with the J4 into the Janna there. Let me switch up scenes here, actually, as I'm talking. This is unfortunately my first time streaming here for the RCS, so we'll be able to move this in here as we get our teams underway. I don't think that we'll hopefully be loading into the loading screen. Nope, my league just crashed. That's not a good sign. There we go. Hey, we're back in action. All right, cool, good. My league.
I'll have to take your word for it because I can't see that myself as you get all the teams loading up into the Summoner's Rift. A couple things I do want to say is that Ignite versus the Barrier in the mid lane matchup, of course. Xerath is just going to want to be safe here. One thing that in the Korean League, if you guys are familiar with this, but if not, I'll describe it to you anyways. One of the players picked Lee Sin into a Xerath yesterday, whereas Jarvan was actually up at that point. And Monte Cristo made a good point, is that if you're Lee Sin, you can run heal on Xerath, and the heal will allow you to get away from Lee Sin because all he has is his slow from his Tempest. The heal will allow you to get away from him in lane without having to blow your flash, so it's much more useful. Whereas if you're playing Jarvan into Xerath, say, your Flag and Drag combo can instantly knock up the Xerath and force him to blow his flash, because if he gets knocked up by it, you're going to easily be able to follow it up by an RE Charm, and it's just not going to be good, and that's the way you can apply pressure. The one thing that I am kind of scared about for the side of 10-hour Reign is that their team seems to be entirely a late game composition. So we got all the teams loading up into the Summer's Rift, and hopefully we're ready to go. Streetball, you there?
Yes, I am here. Yeah, sorry,
okay,
fiddling around here, getting teams' names going
problem.
as much as I can. Actually, I'm gonna edit the scene here and change that just a slight bit as we move the names over here. But like you were saying, yeah, it's gonna be really difficult for them to deal with the late game, like you said, the scaling, because of course, like we mentioned before, Nasus is gonna scale pretty hard early as well. But it looks like, they're kind of splitting up right now, but judging by the fact that they all went on the same side here, I think we're going to see some early level 1 here from I Want to Be the Bashi. They will probably have either a Thresh Hook or Flay, possibly the RE Charm. They do have a decent level 1 going on, so they're going to try and make a play, or possibly just set up some early vision and set the game up from there.
All right, well, this is actually a jungle or an invade route that we've only seen a couple times now. Something that a lot of teams don't suspect. They can actually swing up from this bot lane up into that tri-bush right by the blue side. But it looks like Janna will be on sentry there. Thresh hasn't picked an ability. He actually has gotten his death sentence out here, so he might just throw that into the bush here. Slash Damon actually might get hooked up here. He's going to get hooked up, and they're going to throw down all their abilities. He's going to say, goodbye, cruel world. I'm not even going to bother flashing out of this one. That'll be a nice little gold advantage for the side of I Want to Be the Bashi to start the game out.
Yeah, a great little early invade here, like you said, from I Want to Be the Bashi. It was unfortunate, though, because Slash Damon actually could have just burned his flash and survived there, but I think he was like, oh no, I don't want to burn the flash and start the lane without a flash, but he thought he could outrun the hook. Gets hooked, gives up first blood there, unfortunately, so his lane is going to be a little bit more behind. The kill did go over to Nasus, actually, which is kind of bad.
That's really bad,
yeah. When you get Nasus rolling there, it's going to be rough, because like you mentioned, Nasus is one of those late-game scaling champions, wants to farm up his Q, so it's going to be easier to do that when he's going to be in head and lane. But he didn't go back, actually. He opted to just stay on the map.
know. I was going to just say that he could easily pick up a Doran's shield would be awesome in this case. He would take no damage from the side of Nara. Or you could even pick up a flask, or a crystalline flask, so you can just sustain and stay in that top lane farming his Q forever.
Yeah, about 450 gold he's sitting on right there. So pretty much, even though they got the first blood right now, even though they are at 3.3k gold, as you can see there, the gold difference, that's I Want to Be the Bashi, that is, they haven't spent that gold, so they're not actually at yet. They've got the numbers, but they haven't spent it on any items, and actually Nasus is kind of spamming back, I think, saying, oh shoot, I forgot to back. But he's playing around in lane there with the Gnar.
Yeah. No worries. Well, we've got the jungler starting out sort of on a traditional style here. Stayed chilly, putting out a lot of damage on him. Yeah, he's probably going to back and blow his teleport at one point sooner or later here.
Yeah,
Ward in the bush.
Nasus was just straight trolling there, just eating shots for no real reason, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit overconfident in lane, which, hey, you know what? He is kind of in control of the lane currently, and he thinks he's ahead because he's got that 1-kill lead, but he hasn't bought the items yet, so I wouldn't be that cocky just yet. Oh, the hook.
Funny, another death sentence goes on to Slash Damon. This isn't going to be so good. He does have his flash this time around, though. Not going to have to burn it. Definitely going to force a back, though, out of that case.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was slat aiming there, right there, I would have actually either burned my flash or my exhaust, because even though he's going to be able to sustain and lane here a bit, I would have burned that and not had to chug all those pots, because now they can still push them out. Even though they didn't get a summoner spell, they didn't get a kill or anything. Here's Meganar, though, on level 3.
Yeah, but he's level 3 to level 2. State Chili's going to take a lot of damage here. This is not great. So the thing about the strategy for this game is it's guaranteed pretty much because of that first blood that Lee Sin is going to have to spend a lot of time in the top lane. So if Nasus is smart here, he's going to ward his side knowing that Lee Sin's going to come around here at this time. Oh, he's going to get stunned out. And the red buff from Kona, he's definitely going to have to blow his flash. That's a good. He's going to be right back up there. Blaze Maokai NA. Not the best Blaze Maokai NA, just a Blaze Maokai from NA.
Yeah, just one of them. One of the many ones.
Yes, one of the many Blaze Maokai.
And Lee Sin there actually made a nice effective gank. It was very efficient how he went up there, didn't stall too long, just went up, burned the flash, and now he'll have roughly 4 minutes and 30 seconds to make a play on Nasus again. Nasus is going to burn that teleport to get back into lane a bit faster there. Now he's spent his money. Now he's got a Glacial Shroud, so now he is going to be really in control of that lane. I would have liked to see him buy something earlier, but hey, as long as he's got it now, it's good. And he put down a ward there to keep himself safe from behind.
Absolutely. Well, if you're Lee Sin, I guess you just gotta focus the top lane. I mean, the bot lane's getting pushed up. It might be profitable there, but if you leave the top lane to farm uncontrollably, they're gonna get into their late game, which is gonna be really good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hook's coming out all day from the bot lane here from Thresh. And Janna opting for the Ancient Coin there, which is something that I like, actually. I'm a fan of the Ancient Coin on Janna personally because it is a defensive build. Here comes J4.
Oh, Zerath getting knocked up and charmed. He's surely going to fall with the flash being taken down as well. Actually, he's going to be okay. Did he blow his barrier there? No. He had his barrier as well, so he's going to be okay. Flash burn, though. That's going to be a really big cooldown taking down for them.
I would have liked to have seen him burn the barrier instead of the flash. I think he could have gotten away with the barrier, and the flash is the longer cooldown, more important spell, like you were mentioning before. Or initially, of course, this is a bit harder to do, but flash the J4 EQ. If you're going to flash, if you're going to burn the flash, burn it immediately and stop the initial CC, because then you don't lose that health. That's what we saw in the bottom lane. That's what I was saying with Janna before. If you're going to do something, just get away immediately so you're not getting pushed out in terms of health and sustain in your lane. Because right now, Xerath's going to be in a lot of trouble, I feel, when he comes back to mid lane.
That's a great point you brought up there. Well, we'll have to see. Jarvan coming down the mid lane. He's just going to be just firing up his jungle here. Once again, the Wither coming on to stay chilly, taking a lot of damage. Oh, I am going to love seeing this Nasus one-shot some squishies later in the game. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I don't even understand it really. Daisuke Kai here on Nasus is already playing like he's a late game Nasus. He just doesn't care about anything right now. Even with his flash down, he's still more than content to just run up in Nar's face and trade with him. He's playing really ballsy right now. Now he's not ahead in terms of CS in the lane, which is good because Nar is pretty good at CSing right there. Right. But I still feel like Daisuke Kai is playing like over aggressive, and I think it might come back to bite him eventually. I feel like his style is a little bit kind of all in or all out. So I'm a bit nervous for what happens later in the game in top. But the fact that Nasus is rolling right now is going to help him make some silly plays later and try and not let it bite him in the butt.
Are we nervous about his playstyle after he's like doing a little bit of trolling and stuff? I feel like he's just gonna endlessly split push this game, never group up with his team. This is like kind of, if I was in solo queue, this is what I would predict his behavior is gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is after a while you can kind of see patterns in players. You're like, all right, what champ are they picking? What role are they in? How are they playing? What are they gonna be doing in this game? And like you said, I would not be surprised to see just split push Nasus all day long, trying to bring about 4 people to his lane and then try and 1v4 them from there, which is fine
Mike.
as long as I want to be the Bashi. I don't think
Mike
they know he's there.
Jordan in the bot lane with the alley-oop maybe. Slash Damon suspects something. He's not going to be going too close to that bush there.
I like how Blaze Maokai is actually in the area for a counter gank if needed. He's kind of just chilling around there and was farming a bit. And he's going to back off now. They ping him back, but it was really good that he was there just in case. Because more often than not, the team with the jungler counter jungling that comes in second, that makes the counter engage, is usually going to win that little skirmish.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, if you're Lee Sin, I mean, the top lane's a big concern for you, but he definitely has got to get off quite a few ganks in the mid lane here, especially with a couple of his lanes having blown flash. Well, just the top lane in this instance, but feel like he needs to make something happen here rather than just farm. Jarvan's okay to just farm because his team game is going to spike in the mid game. They're going to be able to group up with Corki's Triforce, but we'll have to see what Lee Sin does.
Yeah, Lee Sin is a little bit more dependent on these early game ganks, and I'm glad he's going back to top lane because he needs to make a play on Nasus here. Nasus' flash is going to be back up soon, and if they don't make something happen here...
There we go. Stay Chili's in Mega Arm for him. He's going to get that CC off. Daisuke Kai just wants to fight them straight up. His flash is still down. We'll have to see if he can land the the resonating strike. Oh my goodness, Meganar throwing him into the wall here. They might be able to kill him actually. Under the tower is gonna be so close. I don't think this is a good idea for Blaze Maokai. Oh my goodness.
Oh. That is just so heartbreaking, so absolutely heartbreaking. Blaze Maokai was doing the right thing there, and that, oh my god, he has a frozen heart at 8 minutes. And his team just got the dragon.
Oh yeah, and he got the dragon. This is going to slow down the attack speed, decrease a lot of the damage coming out from State Chili. This has been disastrous so far for the side of 10-hour rain. It's going to be 10-hour rain of their tears at the end of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Crying themselves a river. That's what the sound is probably for. Just kind of cry themselves to sleep. It covers up the sound of those tears, but that is just rough. 3-0-0 Nasus at 8 minutes into the game, and if he didn't have that kill in the first game, if that first blood didn't happen, he would have died there. He wouldn't have had the items he needed to stay alive under turret and pick up a ridiculous double kill. Did you see how Lee Sin's health dropped when he hit that Q? It was like literally about 75% of his HP in one hit, and you just can't deal with that right now. Corki, get a Valkyrie away, keep himself safe.
And I guess the thing to bring up in terms of the jungle itemization, which is kind of relevant, is because so many of the junglers seems like go for the attack damage, the warrior enchant, that they all deprive their tankiness until about like 15 or 60 minutes into the game. So they have to be very careful when they go in for ganks and dives, especially under the tower. Because they are very vulnerable, like to counter dives and counter ganks and things like that.
No, you're absolutely right, and they actually played that tower dive extremely well. But like you said, there was just no tankiness there for Lee Sin. He's building straight damage for right now. And when a Nasus, who's been farming up his Q nicely, he's sitting on some nice items, he hits you with that under turret, you're gonna go down there. They played it really well though. Like Stay Chilly was tanking the turret right on the outside of range, got out right at the last second, played that perfectly. They just didn't have the damage. He lived with a shred of HP, and like I said before, if he didn't have the kill early, didn't have the items he had right there, he would have died, and that would have been a great play for 10-hour rain. Instead it turns around and it's 3-0-0 for Nasus. The dive!
Oh, here we go, the tornado too. There's a lot of damage coming from Mike. The death sentence just misses on the Sinister Rain. It's a pretty good disengage coming from their side. And
that's exactly what I was talking about as soon as we were in champ select here, is Janna counters J4 pretty darn hard. He had a pretty much perfect dive right there. Janna didn't even blow her ult, didn't even blow her exhaust, flashed, used a Q, easy peasy, gonna keep herself safe, and J4 tucks his tail between his legs and goes back to farming the Gromp.
Absolutely, good call, no ultimate there. I guess another thing is because of Nasus' passive, when we're talking about the top lane dive, his passive gave him a lot of lifesteal, just allowed him to survive, and that's kind of the nasty thing with Nasus. You get sustained from your ultimate, so once he's level 6, it's going to be very hard to gank him effectively and chase him down that lane.
Yeah, exactly, and that was the time. That was the time to kill him. Like I said, they had that little bit of a timing window where the flash was down for Nasus, and now Nasus has a frozen heart. He's by far the strongest person in this game, and he's not only a person that can do damage with his Q, like we said before, but he is going to be ridiculously hard to kill with that tankiness. 20% CDR on top of it. He is just going to be way too hard to kill at this point. That was the chance for 10-hour rain to shut down this Nasus, and it's gone too far at this point.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, the Frozen Heart is the perfect first item for the Nasus to get, because you'll get CDR, his Siphoning Strike will be off cooldown more often than not, and then he'll also get mana, so you can just continuously farm it, and it's basically the perfect farming item for him.
Yeah, and really the only AP member for the side of 10-hour rain is this Xerath, who's being shut down reasonably well in mid lane. He's actually climbed back in CS pretty well, so good job for Eka Soma there, whatever the heck his name is. Yeah, Eka Soma. Picked up the blue buff, and he's coming back in CS a bit, but it's going to be nice because, like we mentioned, the Frozen Heart there for Nasus, it's itemized against AD champions, which are most of the champions for the side of 10-hour rain, so only Xerath is going to be doing damage to Nasus, and so far they haven't met each other in the game.
We've got Lee Sin and Jarvan concurrently coming for ganks in the mid lane and the bot lane. Oh my goodness, Nigerians is here as well with the Death Sentence. That's a perfect Death Sentence. Is actually going to be a kill over for Ahri. It's in the bot lane, they want to force him out as well. Lots of action going in the top lane as well. Stay Chilly's got to jump out of there. Oh my goodness.
That was actually really impressive coordination from I Want to Be the Boshi. They pretty much set it up where they threw out every skill shot they have, and they're like, well, one of them is going to hit. The Thresh Lantern, or the Thresh Hook rather, lands while he's stuck inside the Cataclysm. They just throw everything they have.
Numbers, man.
Yeah, I was really impressed right there by I Want to Be the Boshi. Really good movement as a team for the 3-man gank. You can't escape those 3 people.
Excellent. And there was a lot of tussle in the bot lane here, but Corki, of course, with the Valkyrie, probably one of the best escapes on any AD carry in the game. He's gonna not fall too easily in that bot lane.
Yeah, not only
I think he was 1v3 in that bot lane at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Sin had come down there exactly to kind of try and do the same thing that J4 had done, I guess, with Thresh there when they roamed, but unfortunately we're doing it on the kind of reaction to I Want to Be the Boshi, and whenever you're reacting, you're always going to be a step too late. Weren't able to do the same thing that 10 Hour Rain, or that I Want to Be the Boshi did, rather.
Yeah, 240 is the stacks on the Nasus queue at this point. We're getting to the squishies. We're gonna one-shot them late game. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, if Nasus decides to group here
Yeah.
once the teams get into team phase, it is going to be a short night.
Foxfire's up once again. Spirit Rush. Oh my goodness, he's not gonna. Oh, the Ignite. Last tick. That's good. He calculated that perfectly.
Yeah, really smart the play by Ari right there, getting in to get that last hit. Now there is going to be a Morello's picked up for Xerath, unfortunately. Like back in the day, it's funny now because I always think about this because I used to play mid a lot and I don't as much anymore. But since they changed Athenes and where now it's more viable to go Morellos more often than not. Sometimes I pick up the Athenes, but if this was back in the day when Athenes was the end all be all, Xerath would have had the MR to survive that actually. Unfortunately, he doesn't,
Yeah.
and now he's 0-2-0, and this Ari is pulling ahead in CS, and she's got the kills to back it up as well. Once she's back, she's gonna get something pretty nice.
Absolutely right. You can't discount the Xerath stun, of course. I actually was very surprised last night to find out that it is 2.25 as Slash Damon. What are you doing, my friend? He's gonna add Monsoon right out of there. Unfortunately, and the Jarvan Cataclysm comes in as well. Sinister Raid's getting out of this one, but he's very close as the teleport goes in from right at the right time for the Gnar ultimate. Nigerians taking a lot of damage. Lee Sin's there just at the right time to kill steal that one. Snooey's gonna use his Valkyrie to get away from that, but that's some pretty big kills coming out. Both sides, actually. Support for support.
Yeah, and the Dragon is back up, actually, so that was really good timing for 10 Hour Rain.
Perfect.
Nasus decided not to TP. They might TP on the contest here. Both the supports are dead. Jenna just respawned, but it should be a 4v4 if Nasus decides to TP, but he might just push her and let it go. He doesn't seem to be a team-playing kind of guy. He seems to just be like, screw it, I'll just farm.
That's exactly what we're mentioning here. For Mike, there's always the chance that he could steal this one, as he almost does. The Smite's both mix, kicks him out of there. Get out of town. Stage is very low as well. Snooty, actually, not with the Triforce yet, but just enough damage to kill most of the people here. Ari's going to go over the wall with the Spirit Rush. Blazed Malkayede is going to hit him at the Charm, which does a lot of damage, and there's quite a bit of damage going to Sinister Rain. Are they going to dive him there? No, wisely back off. Good decision.
Yeah, so I Want to Be the Boss. He just came in there and tried to steal the Dragon. Didn't get the Dragon, so good job by 10 Hour Rain picking it up. But they just demolished that team fight without their monster of a Nasus in top lane, who had teleport the whole time, but just decided, nah, you guys got it covered. It's totally fine. We'll just send you guys in there and you'll clean up the fight, which they entirely did. And this whole time, Nasus is just farming alone in top lane. This is not looking too good.
Fight for the pink ward's going to continue. Nope. Both going to back away. The nice thing for Thresh in this case, for Nigerians, just say to the country, is that he's going to get a lot of deep wards in here. It's going to make Lee Sin's ganking life a hellstorm, actually, if he can't get around his jungle without being detected.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned it before, actually, that J4 kind of scales a little bit better than Lee Sin. Lee Sin is really kind of that early game playmaker, and if you don't allow him to make those plays early, like you said, J4 just has to farm, and he's going to contribute a bit more in team fights than Lee Sin. So already we're at that point in the game where J4 is taking over from Lee Sin in terms of who's the more effective jungler at this point in the game.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of pink wards out on the map as well. They're setting themselves up really nicely for that next dragon that's going to come up. That dragon did go over to the side of 10 Hour Rain, however, so they got that 6% damage increase. But let's just check on the Nasus one more time. This is like checking on a plant growing in the top lane. It's going to eventually bear us some good fruit.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like 320 or so. That's pretty good.
And he's picked up the Sheen now, too. So, like we mentioned before, it's probably going to be that split push Nasus. He is going to be clubbing down those turrets. It's going to be that whack whack thud that I always talk about, where it's just tick tick, and then just a giant chunk of the bar is gone from the turret. And they might be going for an invade here in the red. They are. They're going ham.
Oh, Blaze Maokai is not going to be able to get out of this one. Koi Eiko with the Foxfire Spirit Rush combo.
And that's what you talked about before, is they were setting up all the vision. I Want to Be the Boshi had vision all over the red side jungle of 10 Hour Rain, and they capitalized on it. They were looking for that red buff, and they get the hook!
Here we go into Ikache Soma. He's going to fall. Nice flag and drag. Way to hold that until the flash was burned. That was perfect execution.
That's definitely one of those situations where just die. Don't bother flashing. A Thresh has just hooked and flayed you, and then there's a J4 after you. There's no way you're going to get away from that as a Xerath. Unfortunately, you want to just save on your summoner spells at that point. Wait till the next fight. Right now, that was just a beautiful play. 2 people and the red buff for all those wards set up in the enemy's red jungle. Vision will win you games. I'm really impressed right now with I Want to Be the Boshi.
Yeah, definitely looking quite good for them. And there's not really any clear counter to this Nasus, unfortunately, in the late game. He's just going to be able to roll over everyone. And that's definitely the danger of feeding him so hard. And the Ari, too, he can't discount. 304 going to be going for that Abyssal Scepter. The next one is a little bit interesting, I guess, because there's not a whole lot of magic damage except for Corki on their team. And it's not really a lot of magic damage on the side of I Want to Be the Bashi either, but...
Yeah, to be honest, that is not a good item to buy. Don't buy the No Magic Mantle when you're ahead like this, and the only person that does AP damage on the enemy team is someone that's 0-4-1 that you've been demolishing in lane so far.
Right.
You don't need the MR. Just pick up some damage.
Come on, don't BM him like that, man.
She has no boots actually, which is kind of funny. Which Ari, you don't need boots as much because she can dash around with that ult. But you're spending 720 gold on a bunch of magic resistance, which is going to be pretty much useless. Grab some boots, grab some wards, grab something that's not MR against an AD stacked team.
Yeah.
And the 1 AP person is being shut down hecka hard here.
Looks like they're just doing a little proxy farming against each other in relation to where they're standing here. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to send anyone to the top lane now because you need to pretty much commit 3 people to kill Desuki Kai, and he's probably still going to kill one of them either way. So it's just there's just not really winning in this case in any scenario.
Exactly, and that's why I was so kind of distraught after that double kill happened under the turret with the dive in top lane, because that was it. That was their chance. That was the chance for 10-hour Rain to stop this Nasus in his tracks. Not stop him because he can still scale, but at least slow him down, and instead they sped him up. And unfortunately, Daisuke Kai right now in top lane is pretty much unbeatable. All Nara can really do is kind of just push waves against him and stall. Like you said, they're going to have to send 2, if not 3 or 4 people to go deal with it. And then in that time, I Want to Be the Bashi can go take something else on the map.
Absolutely. That red buff is going to be going over to Snooey. And really, they just want to get that bot lane pushed up so they can apply a lot of pressure to the mid lane. Just keep letting Nasus farm up. I mean, this is just a waiting game at this point. Just waiting for 10-hour Rain to make another mistake. They can do pretty much anything they want at this point.
Yeah, and Baron and Dragon are coming up reasonably soon, about 20 seconds on Baron, about a minute on Dragon, but like you mentioned, it would be really smart of them to push in that bot lane. It looks like it might push itself here slowly, but I would like to see them send someone down there, just push one wave and then group up and siege on mid. They've got pretty good siege coming out there with Corki, as well as if somebody gets hit by a Thresh Hook or an Ari Charm, then they're pretty much insta-dead, unless Janna somehow saves them with some wind. But I'd like to see the bot lane get pushed a bit and then siege up mid like they're doing right now. But really, before you siege up those things, you want to push the side lanes first.
Absolutely. Really good point with those skill shots, actually. Not really realizing that for myself until just now, that this is a very scary siege. I mean, it's not a true siege composition or poke composition, but you have a lot of catch under their turret.
The side of 10-hour Rain was entirely relying on Xerath to be their wave clear, their siege kind of man. Like, okay, you can't siege us because we have a Xerath, but Xerath is so far behind right now, that's not the case whatsoever. At this point, Ari is a better sieger than Xerath is, and when you've got a Corki on top of that against a Tristana, who's not the best sieger, Corki and Ari and those Thresh Hooks are going to be out there all day, and then J4 can train on top of that, and they should have a free Dragon right here, because I don't see them being able to win a team fight. 10-hour Rain, that is.
It looks like Blaze Maokai will definitely try to steal this away. This is going to be the second dragon for the side of I Want to Be the Bashi in this case, as the top lane farm just continues here. Man, this is going to be not so scary for them. He's going in there. Oh, and they get the dragon onto the side of I Want to Be the Bashi. Lee Sin gets away as well. Xerath ultimate being blown. A lot of damage coming after them, but not a problem at all for that time.
That was a really clean dragon steal attempt, though. So I was quite impressed by 10-hour Rain right there. Lee Sin is, of course, great at getting in and out for those dragon steal attempts. They're going to try and cut off Nasus right now. Let's see if they can do it.
Oh, it's like we said before. The ultimate actually pushes him over the wall in the direction of safety. He's just gonna all right in the middle of them. Corki's going in there as well, totally vulnerable. Monsoon isolates him, but Nigerian's frantically trying to save his life here as the rest of the team's falling in line. One after another, the enemy seems to do a beautiful Cataclysm, saving it right to the last bit. It looks like Eka J someone was stuck in that as well. It's a 4 for nothing at this point.
Snooey just Valkyried over pretty much point blank into a 1v4, 1v5 scenario, and had no trouble with it. I thought he was gonna have to flash over the wall, didn't even matter, and there's the surrender from 10-hour Rain, which I'm usually not down for surrenders, but unfortunately that game was pretty in the bag there for I Want to Be the Bashi. When you have 5 people in a Nasus, and instead it turns into a bait there, and you get killed, that's just not gonna be a good day, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the nice thing from our perspective as casters is we can very clearly see the narrative that we can tell of, Janna getting hooked in the level 1, dies to Nasus, Nasus gets an advantage, could have the gank top lane could have gone either way really. If they had just backed off, it would have been fine, but they dove double kill towards Nasus. At that point, the game was pretty much over considering the relative scalings of the game. So well played by both sides, but that's definitely something to learn from how crucial level 1 setups are, and use your wards rather than your bodies to take those incoming waves.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be getting into the next lobby here in just a few seconds, so just give us a couple minutes and we'll be jumping right in here. My name is Streetbull, casting alongside Campagnolo. We are the Random Championship Series, and we'll be right back.
starlight, the innocent lifetime, flickers and flashes under a canvas. No, nobody seems worth it, while the feeling's sophisticated. The view is so restrained. The past is nearing closer and closer, I fear. So let's just cut the bullshit and tell me who's independent. Thumbs twiddling and your life's escaping your mind. Keep in mind, well, the air ain't as free as it used to be, but that's quite alright when you're still 18, it seems to be. And I'll tell you who's overrated. What's a beautiful person with some hideous dreams? While the lining isn't silver, we're verging on the side of the road that'll take us home. The edge of us is getting weighed. Read about your life in your local papers. Realize the end of us is getting near. You're just a droplet of paint trickled off your canvas. Delirious illusion flowing backwards through the river of color while we analyze to try to see it clearer. Secretly appealing to a lonely prisoner. Now what's your vision? Initiate your shading, blend the universe together in time. It only gets a little easier. Suddenly piece yourself back together now. What's your vision? Is crumbling. Let it collapse into the abyss. In the midst of summer it won't exist. This emptiness, it's just a blank slate, waiting for a painter to interfere. It's quite complex, but what I know.
crowned, just another prize. It breaks my heart, breaks my heart, breaks my heart, breaks my heart, breaks my lost in the midnight blue shadows of the moon. Here with open arms for you, feeling something so new. Said with me you'd reach the sun. Oh, but we were so young. Love me till the summer's done, but keep me in your heart. So I hold on. So walk on by. I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. So walk on by. I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. Promise me, but you never tried. Secrets in your eyes. You go and run, I'll hide. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be crowned, just another prize. It breaks my heart. Colors of the sky, colors of the sky. Breaks my heart. All I see is colors of the sky, but all I see is colors of the sky. Colors of the sky, but all I see is colors of the sky. But all I see is colors of the sky. Colors of the sky, but all I see is colors of the sky. All I see is colors of the me to the ground now, and somehow I feel like you don't know me. Shook me to the ground now, I don't even know how. Brought me to a life that you never showed me. Coming from a locked up ghost of yourself, but you're coming from the light. There's more to you than you ever thought there was. Yeah, you're coming from the light.
Hello once more, and thank you for tuning in to us on Twitch today. This is Campagnolo speaking. We're here Saturday, February 7th with our Heroes Challenge. This is Silver and Under. It's an official tournament on Summoner's Rift. I'm here joined by Street Bull. How's it going, Street Bull?
Very good, thank you. Fizz ban again. What is going on? Why is everyone
There we
banning
go,
Fizz?
right?
What's
Totally
going
different
on?
players than the last game if you guys saw the last one, but Fizz, once again, maybe the Triforce Fizz is something we have to worry about. You're speechless.
I'm trying to think of a way to say this how I haven't already said it before. Fizz is not worth a ban right now. I'm sorry.
Garbage.
He's
Garbage.
just not
I'll translate
good.
for you guys.
Ari is worth a ban right now. Fizz and Ari have swapped places. I would not have banned Ari before. I would have banned Fizz before, and now it's vice versa. I'll ban out Ari because I think Ari's great right now. Fizz is not very good right now, but they have banned a bunch of kind of snowbally champions. That seems to be the common thread so far between all these bans. That's what I'm thinking. Is just they're afraid of getting killed in lane once, and then the game's over on top of that. Which is kind of, to be honest, what we saw with Nasus in the last game, really. He picked up that first blood, and then the lane was alright from there, but the double kill under turret really spelled the end of days.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my philosophy when it comes to bronze play, because I was in bronze for quite a long time, actually, and I had a great time in it. But I always banned the champions that would get my blood to boil the most. And those were champions like Fiora. I love Fiora ban. Katarina. Oh my goodness, I can't click on Katarina because my mechanics are just so bad. Or like Fizz, where it's just impossible to catch that bloody fish because it just feels like he's flopping around the entire rift. So that's my sort of skeptical philosophy as to why they're banning these champions.
No, absolutely.
Could be the case.
And that's the thing too, is especially when the lower you go in elo, I mean, it gets less applicable the higher you go, but the lower you go, the more it is really reigns true, comfort over meta. Just ban what you're used to getting dumpstered by, and pick what you're used to winning with. Don't worry about what's popular right now. Don't worry about what people say is strong, what's not strong. Just pick what you're good at and ban out what you're not good against.
Absolutely. So we see the Maokai being hovered over here. Seen a couple bands of Maokai here. Extremely annoying if he can get past his Rod of Ages point. And in terms of accelerating the game into the mid game, I guess that's the point in which you want to do that. But we'll have to see. Quite a strong top laner.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing Maokai come back into flavor a bit. He was kind of out of flavor, to be honest, for a little while, which I still played him throughout this whole thing, but it seems like pro players were not picking him for a little while. He did receive a couple nerfs, and there was some more top laners taking over, but it seems like he's coming back into play. Like you said, saw some bans today as well as some picks, and saw Maokai being played quite well. I remember there was one point today in the TSM game where Dyrus playing Maokai, and there was a cheeky little play where he was getting camped in the top lane there. It was a lane gank there. I think it was Lee Sin was the enemy jungler, but he threw a sapling into the side bush there in top lane and saw him out there with some sixth sense. And I love little cheeky sapling plays like that with Maokai. It's basically like a little ward you've got for yourself. So that's one of the things that can help keep you safe, like you mentioned, in the weaker kind of phase of his game where he's waiting to pick up that Rod of Ages. Because once he gets it, he's pretty darn strong. Before then, he can be abused kind of hard.
Absolutely. Now, LeBlanc's still getting picked up here. LeBlanc has quite a low win rate, but again, it's probably one of those comfort picks where if you feel very strongly on LeBlanc, you probably can outplay the opponent depending upon what champion they pick.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's funny that they banned out the Fizz and then they got picked the LeBlanc against them, because I feel like those two champions are kind of similar. Now, I mentioned before I play Fizz a ton and I never play LeBlanc, but I would still consider them similar champions in that they can kind of jump in and they've got that, if you're not careful, they'll blow you up immediately type potential. But I feel like LeBlanc's stronger since the Fizz changes. Now, they did, of course, remove DFG, so LeBlanc's not the same as she used to be, but I still think she's a way better pick than Fizz. So to be honest, if I were on the side of so we got to say the team names here. It's actually Adenosine Triphosphate for the blue side, and Aunt Jemima and the crew for the purple side. But if I was on the side of Adenosine Triphosphate here, I would be more worried about the LeBlanc than I would have been against a Fizz pick.
That's definitely true. As Zed, we've seen Zed be played as a counter pick to LeBlanc in some cases, because there's no longer silence on LeBlanc, so it's pretty good in that case. You can just kind of deathmark LeBlanc as soon as she pops in for you, and you can dodge a lot of the tethers and chains of corruption, things like that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting setup they've got because both of them have clones and shadows that are constantly they're jumping back and forth between. They're always moving all over the place. So it's going to be difficult for LeBlanc to get a lockdown on Zed, and the same can be said for Zed. It's going to be difficult for Zed to actually get a decent ult on LeBlanc. LeBlanc is probably going to have to burn her little jump there before Zed can go in on her. So I don't expect there to be kills in the mid lane unless there is over aggressive plays and misplays. Which hey, you never know what could happen. But to be honest, both of them would have trouble killing each other, but they might just go ham and be bloodthirsty and just go all-out murder fest.
That is what I'm looking forward to. And if that's not the case, I want my money back because that's what I paid to see. So
yeah, that's what
by
that's
signing
what
up
we
to
come here
cast
to
this
see.
kind of tournament.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love seeing from the lower elos is they are just not afraid. They doesn't afraid of anything. And actually, we see the Nasus being picked up here. We saw Nasus played to great effect in the last game. Of course, different teams in this game, but still, Nasus kind of, even though he never actually grouped the team, he kind of ran that game, even though he didn't
Yeah,
group the
MVP
team.
of last game, the Kane.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but hey, if they can pull it off here in this game, that would be nice. But I like the fact that they've opted for the first pick Sivir there. That's a decent AD carry pick right now. I'm not the biggest fan of Sivir, but I like the fact that her ultimate will allow you to kind of engage or disengage depending on what you want to do. It's a good team-oriented pick for AD carry. A little bit less of a carry and more of a utility-based AD carry for their team.
Now, the Udyr here, I don't want to see Udyr in this game because the Wither effectively makes him useless, in my opinion. So
they might be going for some gates on gates action here. They've got the Nasus in the top lane, and they're like, "Hey, how do we counter the gates? Bring out the other gates here. Bring out Udyr.
Okay.
Bring out the Trick 2G to counter the Searches right there." Because to be honest, I feel like as soon as you get into roughly silver, you'll see it sometimes in gold, but mostly I feel silver is just the Trick 2G Searches copycat train. They're just like, oh, I've seen some crazy plays. Nobody can kill Udyr, and he calls them trash and he yells at them and says funny things. So I'm gonna play that. And some people play it well, but to be honest, I don't like that style of play. I feel like it's the entertainment streamer style and not good for actual team play.
Do you know what's interesting is I was playing a game with some friends last night, and I gotta tell you about this Shyvana I saw. Because the Shyvana jungle is something I've had sort of qualms about for a while because it just doesn't offer a lot of CC. It's hard to chase people down, not very good ganking, great wave clear, but of course counter ganking counter jungling is not that strong right now. But she did the most peculiar thing. She built straight up offense, tons of move speed, Triforce, Zephyr, Blade of the Rune King, and I swear the role that Udyr would fill on your team of like kind of running around and causing a lot of confusion in the enemy base and like running through the base like a Singed would or whatever. I think Shyvana does that much, much better if you go this build. So I think there's a little bit of a sleeper pick in that regard, if that's your style.
Yeah, you're actually kind of right on that because, of course, there is the burnout from Shyvana. Not only is it going to have, like you said, it's great for wave clear and stuff like that, but it's also just great, like you said, go into the enemy's base and just run around. No one can catch up to you. It's the same thing, like you said, as the
500
Udyr.
move speed. You'll never catch her.
Yeah, she's way too fast. And I believe they actually changed Shyvana. I think it was 5.1. I'm not sure which patch it was at this point, but they buffed her her ability to take out the jungle there. So they're kind of transitioning her a little bit more to a jungler. So yeah, so I think that's actually quite a smart little idea there. It does kind of take up that role as the kind of troll jungler of I'm going to run around and you can chase me forever. I'll never die and probably pick you off in the chase there. But we'll see. We're going to be seeing Udyr in this game here. I've always liked Shyvana. I've been a big fan of Shyvana personally, and like you said, the only real problem with her in the jungle is that lack of CC. Once she gets her ult, her ganks are a little bit better, but there's no just like jump down on you, hard CC, you're screwed. She really needs some sort of backup from her laners. But I like it when Shyvana has some sort of CC in her laners, and they can trail that on top of each other. And then I think Shyvana in the jungle is pretty strong. I love her in team fights too. But we're focusing on Udyr in this game. I want to see whether he goes Phoenix or if he goes with the Tiger speed there, which he decides to pick up for a D-Tut 95 here.
Yeah. I really miss, I gotta say, the sort of, I mean, they've slowly been sort of phasing out cheese strategies out of League of Legends. But if you call the top lane Udyr, who would go red pot, like the damage amplifying pot, and just like go out with Tiger Bush or Tiger Stance out of the bush and just one shot you at level 1. Oh, those games were the worst.
Yeah, that's I don't miss that style of play where it's like, hey, let's just buy a pot early and I will just try and all in my lane opponent. I never liked that, especially when there was champions where that was pretty much the meta. That's like what you're supposed to do. You're like, how do you play this champion? Well, you buy a red pot or a blue pot early and you just all in your opponent at level 2. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid of that. I'm going to move away. I'm going to go into sustain and farming and stuff like that. But that was the style for a long time. Like you said, Udyr, probably the best example of that. You could go Tiger form, pick up a red pot, one-shot your opponent pretty much. You can win any trade in that that early level. Now, of course, the counterplay to that was it's the same thing as a Doran's, where you can't upgrade it. Of course, it's a pot, it's one and done. So it's kind of, you're getting the stats right now, and you're not investing for later. But if you can get that kill, then it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So I'm glad they kind of took that out. It's a little bit, like you said, they're taking out more of the cheesy one-and-done type strats. The removal of DFG, of course, a great example of that.
Yeah, that's actually very, very similar in its operation in terms of the way they're changing the game. But I guess kind of shifting gears a little bit here, we do see quite, I mean, the kind of, you want to see team comps, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Street Bull, you kind of want to see team comps that are cohesive in their sort of power spikes, or at least their power spikes operate at different times such that they complement one another. Such as if you have a very weak top laner, you have a very strong early mid laner, so you can compensate and provide enough pressure to get them through to the late game. Now, the composition we see coming out from the purple side in this case, sorry, the team name is Aunt Jemima, right? The Aunt Jemima crew, the maple syrup train. Now, they kind of have like a very poor jungler in the early game and a very poor top laner in the early game here. And then kind of a bot lane that's just going to kind of do okay. So I'm not really sure how to approach this team. I don't know where their strengths are. I guess the LeBlanc, perhaps.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. They don't, neither side really has very good team comps. They don't, like you mentioned, normally with a team comp, what you want to do is have similar win conditions is the term that I use for it. We'll switch over here into, but yeah, the term I use for it is win conditions. We'll change team names as well once I stop talking and can do that. But their teams don't really have similar win conditions like you mentioned. My league crashing again. Trying to reconnect here, hopefully get into the game.
Continual struggle.
Yeah, exactly, the struggles of league and streaming and all that kind of stuff. But like you mentioned, there's different win conditions for the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew, as well as for for Triphosphate or whatever the heck their team name is. Hopefully it'll be good. There we go, we're loading up, we're good. But yeah, like you mentioned, Warwick basically wants to wait until level 6 to get a gank off. LeBlanc wants to get some kills on early. Nasus wants to scale up. And Sivir and Janna are probably going to want to just farm safely in the bot lane. So it does kind of put you in a situation where it's like, we're not going to be doing much early. We just want to farm later. Where LeBlanc's kind of the exact opposite of that. She's like, I want kills early so I can get rolling.
Snowball me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit counterintuitive. When you do pick a LeBlanc, usually, like you said, pick a strong early ganking jungler and then have them kind of snowball your mid laner and then carry the game from there. But, as I mentioned before, comfort over meta, especially the lower you get in ELO. And these guys being bronze and silver, pick what champions you're strong at. Who cares about team comp? Who cares about meta? Who cares about win conditions? Pick what you know how to play. The best strategy is the strategy that you know the best.
That's an awesome point. I think you've addressed all of my concerns.
Yeah, I just need to change the team names now here. I need to copy and paste the adenosine triphosphate. I looked it up, and it's apparently
it's a coenzyme that facilitates the process of like energy transformation in plants. I think mostly.
Yeah,
is that what you got, or
I didn't look. I didn't. You probably know more than me based off that one sentence. I looked up what the. I looked at one sentence and it said it's quote unquote the currency of molecules or something like that, or like the currency of something.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So hey, these guys.
Because you trade your. Think about this. You trade your time for money, and then you trade your money for things you want. And so, in this sense, if it's the currency, it's the thing that you trade for the thing you want, which is energy. So it's the coenzyme, like in the way that money is a coenzyme of your daily life.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because my brain is going back to, oh yeah, that's what school was like, and then I completely just tune out.
There we go.
My brain just cannot work with all that kind of stuff.
I'm still in school, I'm still in prison, so I'm going to talk like this.
I was going to say, you can totally tell that you are in the school mindset because you're just rocking off that stuff. I'm like, whoa, you know what you're talking about. You sound smart. And when I say things like that...
I sound smart. Am I smart, though?
No, but that's the way to do it. It's not about actually being smart. It's about making people think you're smart. And by memorizing facts and stuff like that, that's a great way to do it. And that's why I love the internet, is you can look up whatever you want and learn about whatever you want, regardless of what it is, even if it's adenosine triphosphate while you're trying to cast League of Legends. Hey,
sound like an expert.
The more you know, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Coming off.
I'm going to quote Yasuo on this and say, the road to ruin is paved with, what does he say? That's a great quote. Look it up if you want.
I do not know.
But basically, sounding smart, I'd argue, is a road to ruin. So let's not go down that one.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Okay.
But we're gonna get into the game here, and actually, we see Zed opting for the Doran's Blade start here early. Normally, of course, you'll see sometimes start with the 3-pot and longsword, which is usually the kind of standard start. But we're probably gonna be seeing Zed try and make some early plays. Yeah, LeBlanc maybe AFK here. And actually, Warwick started. Here we go. She's in game now. Warwick started with just the machete and a ward, actually. So going to be relying on his own sustain here, possibly with an early back.
That's quite smart, actually. So long as you're not going to be dealing with any jungle invades, things like that, which very well could happen from the Udyr. We'll have to see. They do have a ward up in that enemy jungle up there in Aunt Jemima's side. But yeah, I mean, with Warwick, you can just continue to sustain with your Q. So.
Yeah, and both sides kind of just opting for defensive starts here. Actually, that semi-deep ward, the blue one there, up on the purple side of the map, red side of the buff there, the top side of the map, that ward right there, is actually really not giving them much information whatsoever. They kind of just threw that down there. I think this is a case of the lower elo players kind of going, oh, we're supposed to get deep wards early, but they don't know why or what they're supposed to get from it. So even though they threw down that ward there early and it's providing a bit of vision on the map, it didn't really tell them anything, unfortunately. What you usually want to do is get a track of where the enemy jungler is starting. Sometimes you can assume based on when people get to lane and things like that, but normally what you want to do is get a ward onto where the jungler is going to start. So if they had thrown it deeper, say over the Krug wall or the red buff there, then they would have known that Warwick is going to start on the bot side of the map and can play based off of that.
Yeah, Space Ugly has taken a bunch of damage from walking into the bush. Just wanted to check to make sure Annie was actually in the game, I guess. That's a great point, and on like a very primitive level, I'd say, you know, finding out where the enemy jungler is should be like your first baby step in developing your sort of macro strategy, which is becoming more and more important as the game progresses in its different levels of stages. Looks like Warwick's actually going to go into the enemy jungle, perhaps? He's going to take that Scuttle Crab, maybe.
Yeah, gonna go after the Scuttle early, which of course is pretty easy to kill at this early in the game. Gonna provide some nice vision as well as some early gold. But yeah, he places that ward. That's gonna be a nice ward because that should provide some vision over where Udyr is gonna go. I would have liked to see him place it deeper, to be honest.
A little bit deeper, right? Yeah, by the Razor Beaks.
Exact. I was just about to say that. Yeah, throw it on the Razor Beaks. That is the perfect spot to track the enemy jungler. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too short there, so it could be better placement. But actually, Udyr is going to take the Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map, so they're loving the Scuttle Crab killing early. Oh, there's the Ignite! Whoa!
Well, that turret damage didn't actually look like it went on to beyond deadly, but the Ignite's popped out now too. Zed's going to be forced to back in this case. Yeah, it would be quite scary, because obviously LeBlanc is a ranged champion. It's going to have a little bit of dominance over Zed as a melee champion. And if I recall seeing Link play the Zed versus LeBlanc matchup last week, he really was just kind of playing very safe until level 6, when you actually have the potential to all in and counter the sort of engage that LeBlanc can do on you.
And this is why I mentioned in Champ Select that I'm so much more worried about the LeBlanc than I am the Fizz. The Fizz would be pretty much useless right now. Until he hits level 6, he's not going to be doing anything. And he can't trade with Zed because he has mana to burn and Zed does not. If Zed trades efficiently based on his cooldowns, he can out-trade Fizz every single time because Fizz will run out of mana eventually and Zed will never run out of the ability to use his abilities with the energy, basically. It's just a wait.
Yeah. So you can be very patient in that lane and just say, you know, I can still get as much CS as I want because I'll never run out of mana in which I have to CS. American Idiot 0-0 taking a ton of damage though. Valkyrie's going to have to come up from Pappy Gill, perhaps overstepping into the minions there. Yeah, at this lower level of game, and I remember one time when I was playing a top lane in a very low level game way back when I was in bronze, I was trying to attack this Jax under my turret, and I was like, stop attacking my turret, but there was about 50 minions that he had piling up right inside there, and I died under my own turret to someone who wasn't even attacking me. It was insane.
Oh my god.
Just because turrets, just minions do so much damage, level 1 to 6, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not aware, minions do a lot of damage. You need to be very careful about that. Unfortunately, as Cold Killer, they're trading with the turret. Unfortunately, takes a bit too much damage, or else that was a very good trade in the bot lane there for Sivir and Janna. But Corki's doing a good job of keeping up in CS. But like you were saying, the minions are always kind of underrated in how much damage they do, and I'll always remember this. I think it was at Season 4 Worlds, I think, where Balls flashed away from his turret in top lane into a pack of his own minions, and actually, I was like, what is he doing? Because I was like, well, flash into your turret so the turret can kill your enemy right there, but he flashed into the enemy minions, which provided a body block as well as the extra damage from the minions to allow him to get the kill, which that was next level thing to me and really opened up my eyes in how minions can be used in battles.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you see all kinds of unorthodox flashes because they're kind of like flashing into a way in which if the person attacks you a little bit more, they'll take minion damage. It's really just about minion navigation, especially in the bot lane. You oftentimes come back to lane, there's like 40 minions. Even if you have a BF sword and they only have a long sword, like you need to respect those minions still. As a D-Tut 95, it's just kind of chilling out in the lane, right on top of a ward there, actually. Papa Gill taking a lot of damage though. D-Tut, what are you doing here, bud?
Yeah. That was kind of weird. If you're gonna walk into the lane there, then take a different angle and try and stun them, get a red buff tick going on them. But he kind of just walked back and took some free shots.
Like, doot.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of weird pathing, and he was like, screw it, I'm too far at this point, let's just keep going, and just walked by.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what that does is, like we mentioned before, it gives information to the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew. It lets them know that, hey, Udyr's
Oh,
no! Oh no!
Well, I'm not sure exactly what was going on there. Maybe typing, simply sadistic, taking a lot of damage in the mid lane as well. Deceive coming up from the block. The pass is going to be blown, but that was quite unfortunate. If there's a DC, we expect a pause, but since there's no pause, I guess there wasn't a DC.
It's very true. It could. Oh my goodness.
Corki's moving.
Whoa,
Oh,
the
simply
Ignite's
sadistic
back up.
falling again. Yeah, right on rotation. The flash and Ignite being burned from Beyond Deadly. So it's a great start for Aunt Jemima's Wrecking Crew. I'm just going to call them that, even though they are just called End the Crew.
Yeah, well, they're wrecking right now. They definitely deserve that. It looks like Warwick is going to go over for the dragon here, which, of course, Warwick is great at doing some early dragons, and if they bring up Sivir and Janna, that's a good little crew. I always say that Janna... Oh,
I don't know about this one. Okay, yeah, they're going to get it just fine. Oh,
What?
he's got the ultimate at level 6, actually. No, this is the exact same play we see last time.
Okay.
Oh, he's going to get it, though. No, is he going to die?
No.
Wow. Carbon copy of the last game. Double kill going to Nasus, but he died this time at least.
And they take...
And
Exactly,
his team's getting Dragon.
Yeah, exactly like you said. Literally a carbon copy. They take dragon right as they're doing that with the dive. Unfortunately, Nasus does go down, which he didn't do in the last
Corki!
game, but who cares? Corki's trying to make a play.
I love the tenacity from these players. Corki Valkyrie's like right into range, and luckily Warwick wasn't level 6 yet. But
Yeah.
that was quite ballsy. I'm impressed.
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, so why not try and steal it in there?
Who said
Good
that?
job
A famous rapper, probably.
That was Wayne Gretzky, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so there we go. I gotcha. You turned from like the coolest thing to like the whitest thing I could, like old man Gretzky here.
Hey, man.
Yeah, quote him. But hey,
Gretzky's
best hockey
over
player of all
Canadian.
time.
Yeah.
Gotta take some advice from him here. Go Canada for hockey. But
Never be broken.
yeah, I think that's a great quote, and it can apply to a lot of things. Like, you're never gonna steal that dragon unless you try and steal it, and that's one of the things that I always think of. I've had some crazy dragon and baron steals in my time, all because I say, hey, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not take a shot?
Well, I've stolen a dragon with a thresh hook before. That was my most exciting one.
Exactly, yeah, and we'll always remember. I say we'll always remember, and I'm forgetting now who it was, but somebody stole a Baron with a level 1 Janna tornado there.
Oh, I know who it was. It was
Was it Bloodwater?
Oh, it was from Coast. What's his name?
Sheep then?
No, it was like the very it was like way back.
Oh,
something Dreaming.
Daydreaming.
My
My boy Daydreaming, yeah,
I'm pretty
Miles
sure it was
Horde.
him.
Who's
Yeah,
now
yeah.
actually a tester at Riot, so shout out to Daydreamin, who has
There you go.
like an actual job and is not a pro gamer anymore. So that's probably a little bit more safe for a lifestyle. So
They
congrats
make
to
money.
him.
They're actual jobs.
Hey, well, yeah, that's the beautiful thing though is if he performs poorly in his testing job, they're not gonna can him there and kick him off the team. So I think
Definitely.
I'm very happy for him because he's one of those players that I followed for a long time. First watched him on Afromu's stream way back in the day, and then all of a sudden he was in LCS, and I was like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
I remember they used to duo, right?
Yeah.
When Afro played 80 carry.
Yeah, they were quite troll together. I always used to love watching Miles play, and I became a fan of him before he became in the LCS, and really I feel like stepped up his play as he got into the pro scene. So very happy for him. But yeah,
It was
you can-
very exciting.
Yeah, he's made some crazy plays. I love supports like that can just make things happen. Had some cool blitzcrank plays and things like that. But like we were saying, just throw out the Janna tornado there and try and steal the Baron. Steal whatever you can. Just make an attempt, especially if you can do it from a safe point. We saw in the previous game where Lee Sin jumped over the Dragon Wall, tried to make a steal, but safeguarded back over to his ally Janna, and it was very safe. There was no real risk in trying to steal the Dragon, and they got an attempt. They couldn't take it, but hey, at least they tried.
Beyond Deadly, kind of just moseying up into the top lane here, getting a little break from action in the mid lane. Maokai, luckily, saw that one coming, though, as Udyr is posing around the top lane as well. They are at a 3k gold deficit, though, and the bot lane turret seems to be the next objective that's going to fall pretty soon. That Janna severe combination, just endless in their frustration.
Yeah, to be honest...
Oh, and the hunt comes out!
Here we go.
Oh, the flash and the heal comes out from American Idiot. They're still chasing after them. He gets knocked through the monsoon in the wrong direction. And the Timbers comes out as well. One more auto attack. He's going to fall into the turret as well. Very, very strained engage, I felt like that was.
Yeah, that was a little bit of, we need to do this for sure. And actually, Space Ugliest had her exhaust there, Janna's exhaust, still up. Could have used that. Same with Annie. They probably could have popped those in the fight there respectively. But a trade there, 1-for-1. A little bit of an over dive for the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew. But as I was talking about before, I don't like the fact that LeBlanc roamed up top there. I feel like she could have roamed bottom and made something happen instead. But I do like the fact that Gabez 19 right there on Warwick was covering mid lane while LeBlanc was roaming, which is the smart thing to do from her jungler. If you're not going to help with the roam or do something else on the map, just cover the lane, make sure no farm is unnecessarily wasted, and pick yourself up some easy farm as a jungler. It's a win-win.
Yeah, get some levels. Now he's level 6, so he should be able to throw some ganks here. And this is, you know, we made the comment that a lot of these lanes seem like they're at a power disadvantage in the early game, particularly the top lane and the jungle. But now that they've gotten through that early game sort of power trough, they just couldn't really do a whole lot. Warwick's level 6 now. I mean, we got a double kill for the Nasus again. They're really going to be able to pick up the pace of the game with the Warwick ultimates now.
Yeah, LeBlanc was able to take the lane into her own hands. They didn't have any jungler trouble. Because there was an Udyr picked against Warwick, they didn't have any real way to kind of stop Warwick's farming early.
Oh, Space Ugliest! You're gonna fall into it. Oh, and the ultimate comes out from him as well, but they might have enough damage to turn this around. Gabez taking a ton of damage. 1v2 for Ice Cold Killer now. Corki is really strong with the Valkyrie still up as well. He's surely gonna fall. Beyond Deadly kills Corki just at the right time as well. That roam was in particular an excellent timing.
And that's what I wanted to see from LeBlanc before, but the good thing is that Simply Sadistic here on Zed, the problem with roaming as a Zed is he's an AD champion and can push down turrets fast. So LeBlanc is a great roamer, but Zed is great at having someone roam against him and taking a turret for it instead. So Zed will get the mid turret here, but I like that roam by LeBlanc in the bottom. The problem with that fight there for Njemima and the crew was Gabez unfortunately ulted Udyr, which is not the right idea. You gotta ult Corki in that situation, because Corki was free to just do damage the entire time. And when he has a Sheen, he has a nice little spike there to blow your team up. A bunch of explosions happened, and I believe it was a 2 for 3 trade in the end, or 1 for 2, or something crazy happened. But so far, Njemima and the crew pulling nicely ahead in gold.
Yeah, it was a very well timed rotation down there from LeBlanc. I mean, Zed did get the turret, so it equalizes it a little bit here, as the Dragon's gonna be coming up in 20 seconds as well. Both teams can be fighting over for some ward domination here. Ice Cold Killer, oh my goodness, a lot of damage on him once more. That last auto attack is gonna kill him for sure. I guess the Valkyrie was down. That is definitely going to get the Dragon over to that team.
I like that exhaust from Space Ugliest right there, but as soon as you exhaust someone, don't run away. Run into them, because they're exhausted. They're not going to be able to do any damage to you. Space Ugliest actually exhausted and turned back. But in that situation, as a support, sometimes when you don't have anything else to do in terms of abilities and stuff like that, just stand there. Just stand in front so it's harder to click your AD carry, basically. Just be literally a wall. Just be a blocker. And just stand in front, making it harder to get damage onto your AD carry. A little bit harder for the enemy to aim properly.
Yeah, Warwick was roaming around in the top lane, though, so looks like Corki's going to get back in time, perhaps, for this Dragon fight. We're going to see a 4v4. Both teleports, if I'm correct, yes, both teleports are up on the map here, so you might see a big fight. Oh my goodness, Simply Sadistic's going to have to get out of there. That's the power of the LeBlanc in the early game. Having rushed that Zanya is now completed. It's going to be perfectly fine against the Zed.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about before, where basically we were like, you want to pick a jungler that's going to help LeBlanc get rolling, but LeBlanc did that herself, and she is solo zoning out the enemy team. There's going to be no smite contest now, because Udyr is, of course, gone. Corki's going to try and steal it over the wall, but it's not going to work. So great play by LeBlanc right there. As an AP champion that's not doing much damage to a dragon, I always say this, play offensive line and zone out the enemy team, and LeBlanc is perfect for that. LeBlanc got herself ahead in lane without jungler help, and that really covered the only weakness you could see from Njemima and the crew, is they want to get their other laners rolling, they want to get their jungler rolling, they can scale up later in the game, and LeBlanc was the only one who needed help early to really cement her early game power, but she did it herself. So it really covered the weakness that they had right there, where Warwick wasn't going to be doing much jungler help. And the side of Adenosine Triphosphate, there we go.
I think he actually spell shielded the Zed Deathmark. That was a fantastic spell shield.
Yeah, Ice Cold Killer making use of that Sivir right there. And unfortunately, Simply Sadistic did not have the damage he needed to get that kill there. Did what he could, but it was not enough. As I was mentioning before, Udyr coming in here, actually, you don't want to defend the turret when it's about to die. This could be dangerous.
The Chains of Eruption from the longest range possible. He's got a little bit of a shield from Turtle Stance. He's going to get away okay. One thing I do want to point out is the CS discrepancy in the top lane. This is quite the scary mix-up for Anastasis actually going Triforce first, so not the greatest itemization, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and it's just going to get worse here for Maokai, unfortunately. Like you said, there's a little bit of a dip before he gets the Rod of Ages. When you do go that Rod of Ages, oh, there's a slow.
And the Tornado's going to hit him up as well. Warwick coming in on the end. I think Papa Gil knows that he has to kill the Janna in this case. A lot of, what is Warwick doing? He's chilling out in the bot lane. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Poppy Gill's gonna fall over to Severe, who's just trolling around. Ooh.
Yeah, it
This
looks...
is a little bit of a BM. No problem.
It looks like Warwick just wanted to farm in the ball lane, I guess.
He's actually just stuck there. I think he's DC'd perhaps.
Is he DC? Yeah, let me check on the map there real quick.
Oh, here comes Udyr to
He
clean
is.
him up. I'm gonna send you home, buddy. Oh,
There's-
now he's moving. Disconnected.
Poor Gabez.
Oh, Udyr wants him. He's going after him.
Nope. He'll be okay. The DC run back to base saves his life. So glad that Riot
Yeah.
put that in the game.
That's good.
And
It takes a while to kick in though. So
yeah, well, that's the thing is I think he was probably stuck on that attempting to reconnect. Here we go, 3v1.
yeah, they should really put a pause up in here. Oh, I am Hurricane Dog gonna fall to Zed. They're gonna get the shutdown on that one.
I
So
don't
He's gonna fall.
I don't know if they know how to pause. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Or if they know that I don't know if they know they're allowed to pause. I'm not sure if they haven't played in a tournament before or whatever, but you are allowed, of course, 5 minutes pause when you have someone with DCing or having some sort of trouble like that. But unfortunately for right now, they're just going to play with no Warwick, which is not good because now that there's Triforce on Nasus, sure, that's going to be really nice and dandy, but they got the shutdown on Nasus, which is quite good. Whoa!
Oh, but Beyond Deadly might be able to stack him up and distort into the entire team. That's gonna be quite scary. So 4v4 for another 20 seconds. I mean, the thing about their team is they're so far ahead. They might just say, you know, this is the handicap we deserve for doing so well in the early game.
Yeah, LeBlanc could easily just carry this game by herself pretty much, and as we mentioned, Nasus's farm is getting close to triple that of Maokai's, which is
Yikes.
a bit of a gap. Bit of a gap right
bit of a
there.
problem.
As you can see, yeah, the Rod of Ages just being finished for Maokai, where when Nasus went back, he finished his Trinity, and bought a Glacial Shroud and Merc Treads on top of that, so he is sitting pretty well right now. But as you mentioned, LeBlanc is pretty much controlling this game currently and can do the 4v5 that they need. In the pick and ban phase, as I mentioned, they banned out all those assassins and banned out all these snowball-y type champions, but LeBlanc is perfect at that. They still left that LeBlanc open. Fizz isn't a snowball champion anymore.
There, Beyond Deadly's gonna pick up another kill onto Zed. It's unfortunately falling him to 1 and 3. Tornado comes out. It's actually a 3v2 in the bot lane as Beyond Deadly comes into the bot lane again. Flash out from Tippers, flash from Annie just at the right time. Lots of damage. Space like this, you're taking the turret, my friend. Oh no, the Monsoon was a great idea, but the positioning maybe not so much.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, you don't want to be channeling your ult to heal your team. That was a healing ult for your team. That wasn't a knockback to save my team. Oh god.
Oh, they knew he was there.
Oh,
Okay,
forces the
lots more
flash
damage.
away.
Yeah,
Tibbers!
that's the one. Tibbers is attacking him. He's gonna have to blow his flash. That was pretty good reaction time, actually. I didn't notice the Tibbers there until just then as well.
Oh, the Corki! He actually juked into the Corki ultimate, but it was not enough damage to get the kill. Wow, that was...
Sliver of health.
Yeah, that was scary there. That was a little bit of a dance in the bot lane, but Nasus is demolishing turrets now with that Trinity Force.
And to be honest, I don't really like the Transforce as he is probably gonna fall here. Simply Sadistic taking 3/4 of his health. They're all gonna survive. He's actually gonna be just fine. Warwick coming in with the double kill cleanup, no problem for him. I was gonna say though, the Trinity Force I really dislike on Nasus because I think it only gives you a marginal power spike, unless you get a crit with your Q, of course. But I think it's much more appropriate to just go tank and farm if you're gonna go for the late game. That is.
I would have to agree with you. It's kind of doing like basically with Nasus, like we always mention, stack up his Q and you do damage anyways. So you build tank because you've got built-in damage in your kit. Where he's kind of doing the opposite right now. He's like, oh, I've got built-in tankiness from my ultimate, so I'll just build damage with this Triforce. The one thing I do like about it is the Triforce is allowing him to farm easier, and he's pushing turrets pretty darn fast. So if he continues
That's
to
true.
do that and doesn't get himself into sticky situations
no.
like this, then he should
the
be all
teleport.
right. As long as
Teleport
he
going
just runs
in
away.
4 members, but I mean the Triforce does give him that move speed that he needs, and the Phage, of course. The
So
Phage bot's doing that as well.
It's good if he's going to be doing this split pushing all day long. The tanky Nasus is really good for when he groups up after he's stacked that Q and then can just stand in the back line there and not die and also do damage to the carries with the Wither on top. But when you're going for this the split push, the Triforce is actually pretty darn strong. And he played it perfectly right there because you don't want to get tanky and just tank 1v4.
Oh, here comes the Ghost coming out. He's going to want him. One more Siphoning Strike. Oh, there it is. Yeah, and the other thing about the Triforce is if you're ahead, I think you get the privilege of building that kind of thing because you can sacrifice a lot of it because you're just going to be up in levels in the team. You're just going to have more raw stats. But in the end of the day, your ultimate... the Sands, whatever it's called, gives you more HP. So if you build resistances, it'll make it even more effective in that case. So, you know, the case stands that when you're ahead, it's okay.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. The more ahead you are, the more you can kind of get away with whatever you want. Building a Trinity Force, if say Maokai and Nasus' situations are switched right now, and Nasus is building Trinity Force, you're going to lose this game.
Where'd he go?
speaking of losing the game, Zed
There he
here
is.
getting
2
demolished.
siphoning strikes real quick on a Pappy Gill. Pappy Gill actually Valkyried into this fight thinking they could 2v1. Not so, my friend. Oh, might be a pentakill. Look at this. No. He's going to back up.
I was going to say, yeah, the side of adenosine triophosphate there for the blue side really kind of just set up Nasus right there. They were laying out the carpet right there for a 1v5 pentakill. You pretty much set it up. Go in one at a time. It's what I call it's the Kung Fu movie where you go in one at a time. All the bad guys are going one at a time. And you're like, I always used to watch those movies as a kid and go, just attack all at once. Just everyone go in together and dogpile them. But no, they attack one at a time. He takes out the first 2, and then the back 3 are like, okay, we need to attack together. The group of 3 pushes back Nasus, and Hurricane Doug does the smart thing by backing off once the fight becomes unsafe. But he got 2 kills for absolutely nothing right there.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of kind of like open world fighting games too. How you're surrounded like I don't know if you played Shadows of Mordor. It's like a Lord of the Rings game, but you're surrounded by like 40 orcs, but only one orc ever hits you at one time. It's just kind of like, okay.
And that's
you should use your numbers advantage on me.
Exactly, because in real life it would be unfair as hell if you're fighting 40 people. They're just gonna all jump on you at once, and there's not much you can do.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's the same thing for League, is if you've got a team of 5, just use your team of 5. Unfortunately, there's Zed winning by himself, trying to be the hero. And when you don't even have your Bork completed, you're not going to do much damage to that Nasus. You need your team there. You need to fight unfair fights. This is what I always tell people, is don't fight fair fights. Don't try and be the hero. Don't try and be good at the game. Just fight unfair, be cheap, and get wins.
Simply Sadistic getting taken away out of there. And even the Timbers getting just a lot of stuns coming out there. Gabez is going to fall as well. Lots of damage. They have no Severe in this fight, keep in mind. But I am a Hurricane Doug is so strong with that Frozen Heart, taking no damage from Corky, just letting him auto-attack him away. Triple kill for Nasus. He's getting over the wall, actually. Keep in mind, you cannot go through that. Timbers is going to mosey on through there, though.
That's the point where I'm like, oh, if only Nasus had Flash instead of Ghost, that would probably be a pentakill right there, because he could just go over the wall and make that
Here
kill.
we go.
Oh,
I don't know if this is still Frost, but he's going to get one more kill. The unofficial Quadra. Corky wisely backing up here. So Nasus MVP in both games we've seen so far, as they're going to get the first inhibitor of the game.
Yeah, and this is exactly, and I don't want to harp on this more, but in low elo, they don't know how to abuse certain things. So you have to abuse the fact that Nasus is weak early. If you don't shut him down early, this will happen every single game. And they basically just let, I was going to call him Samus, let Nasus free farm.
Samus?
Yeah, the wrong game. Let Nasus free farm and just get rolling. If you allow a Nasus to build Trinity Force first, and you haven't abused him for the fact that he built that, you're going to have a rough day. Because like you said, it's a very, like, a head item. It's a very, like, I can do whatever I want. Even though not to the same extent, it reminds me of the double Rod of Ages like Peke build, where he's like, I'm just so far ahead, who cares?
There's the damage coming from D-Tut, but he's going to take a lot of damage from Beyond Deadly. You got to watch out there. Big Rod looks like he's going to go for just more straight flat AP. Probably the right decision in this case.
And Warwick opted for the Zephyr, which I can understand, but I don't agree with. I feel like that could have been used a little bit better.
I think that's always my response when I see a Zephyr.
Yeah.
I understand, but like, okay. Oh, Great Monsoon coming over from Space Ugly. The Flash coming over from D-Titan in response. Beyond Deadly is so low, the conceit at the end there. Oh, getting blown up by the Timbers, the whole team. But you gotta watch out the mid lane and the top lane as well. That split push is gonna be quite deadly in the long run.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on right now. Ice Cold Killer actually chasing 3 members of adenosine triphosphate right now, and all he needs to do is just stop their backs, because Nasus and Warwick will push in here. Zed can't stop them, rather. All they have to do is just delay right now, and they can get some free inhibitors here.
500 stacks onto the Nasus queue. Oh, wow, look at that inhibitor fall.
Yep, it is the old whack back thud. I think that most objectives here are going to go down to actually Sivir deciding to back. There we go. Yeah, I was going to say cancel that back and just push that in for right now. They've got a little bit of time. Nasus needs to be careful though. He doesn't want to fight 1v5.
Wants it. Seems like he does half of anyone's health.
Yeah, if they fight 5v5 as a team, they've been fighting kind of outnumbered, to be honest. Aunt Jemima and the crew has been a few times so far, like you mentioned in that one team fight. Sivir wasn't even there. If Sivir was there, that would have been a clean sweep. But they're kind of splitting up, moving all over the map, which is fine right now. Now that they have 2 inhibs down, they can really just relax and wait until the super minions make their life of adenosine triphosphate a little bit harder, keep them in their own base, and like you saw, there's a ping out for Baron. They'll probably set that up right now. They have great wards on the blue side of the map.
Yeah, 2 inhibitors is kind of the death sentence for the Baron being taken in the early game. 1 inhibitor, he could probably deal with for pushing up a couple waves, but this case, this is going to be a level 11 Baron actually from the jungler. That's one of the earliest I've seen in quite some time.
And yet again, they don't have their AD carry there. Sivir is not there. Nasus!
No!
Oh my god, there's the exhaust to keep him safe, but Zed does not want to help out. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, one of the things you can do as Zed to save your little teammates there is throw out your shadow and then have your shadow use your E, because the E from the shadow will actually slow them. So you can use
Yes.
that as a little bit of utility on Zed, who's usually kind of just like a murder bot. But you can have a little bit of CC to help your teammates out if you have the W and E up.
Yeah. Man, that double kill in the top lane, I really feel for Maokai. I feel for the trees, man.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
all that CS discrepancy, that's scary. That is huge.
I'm just glad that Maokai actually got the kill there, and it didn't happen like in the last game where Nasus
Right.
ended up surviving and getting the double kill. At least the tree got a little bit of revenge right there, took down Doggy. But right now, the CS between the top lane is kind of the story of this game so far.
History doesn't repeat itself. Oh,
Oh
it's
my
only
God.
slightly the same.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, the Mikhail's Crucible coming out, giving Beyond Deadly a little bit more health to sustain through this invade. 3 inhibitors down, though.
Yeah, and I feel like, unfortunately, Adenosine Triphosphate were kind of trying to prevent this from their pick and ban phases. They didn't want these snowbally type champions, and Nasus snowballed, the LeBlanc snowballed, and now they're in a situation where even though Sivir hasn't been demolishing the game, Warwick hasn't been demolishing the game, their teammates are so strong that they can do whatever they want to. They've had so much time to farm up safely, pick up some nice items. Everybody that wasn't a threat before is now a threat on top of the already monstrous top and mid laners for Aunt Jemima and the crew.
Yeah, another dragon's gonna be going out. That's number 4, so if we don't see the end of the game now, we'll certainly see it in 5 minutes time when number 5 goes over to Aunt Jemima and the crew. Where is Aunt Jemima, though? Which one is she? This is her and the crew, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. I don't know which one Aunt Jemima
Gotta
would
be the Janna.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, Space Ugliest is Aunt Jemima, the resident Aunt
Syrup
Jemima here.
Queen Janna? I think that's
Yes,
the
we need a new skin, Syrup Queen
Yeah.
Janna.
Aunt Jemima, baby.
Oh my goodness! Wow, D-Tut unfortunately does not have the tankiness he needs, and he's trying for a Triforce after that. You need to go tanky at this point. When you're that far behind, and you're kind of the tanky member of your team, you gotta go tank. You can't go the offense. You can't go that kind of run around and troll build. And this will be the cleanup on the game. Aunt Jemima and the crew taking a pretty clean, convincing victory.
There we go. The Nasus with the cane. It's just going to stack him up to over 600 stacks that game. That was a quite riveting game. Also, as carbon copy of the last game, like, we'll just repeat this one more time just because of how important it seems to be that history is repeating itself. Once again, though, Aunt Jemima's crew going over the chemical molecule that we are not qualified to talk about, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be moving on to the next lobby here in just a few minutes. Once again, we are the Random Championship Series, RandomCS.com. My name is Streetball, casting alongside Campagnolo, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes with the next game being set up.
See ya.
Breathe me into the light. Slowly heal the darkness in my heart. I hear you now. A taste was all